Welcome. We're at it again. This is Alley 26 in our ongoing Mixology at Home series. In this segment, we're going to drink some scotch. We're going to make some scotch cocktails. This one particularly is we're calling the Fleece blanket. It's just as cozy as it sounds. It's an egg white cocktail featuring our spiced cranberry shrub, some blended scotch, and Byrhh, which is a Grand Quinquina. Think of it, it's an aromatized fortified wine. Think of it like a vermouth, except for it's not being bittered with wormwood, it's being bittered with quinine, in this case cinchona. So, we're gonna build this guy with our shrub. Make sure you always integrate any of our syrups or shrubs because they're made with real stuff. 1/4 ounce of that. Oh yeah. And you can tell it's got a goodly amount of sugar in it too. So it's a really interesting product in that it's got vinegar, but it's also sweet, so it's a really cool balance. 1/4 ounce of that, 1/4 ounce of fresh lime juice. Half an ounce of the quinquina. And let's check our efforts. Oh yeah, that's tasty. We're gonna go with 1.5 ounces of scotch. 1.5. I'm using Johnnie Walker Red label. It is not the fanciest scotch. And I prefer it in my cocktails because it's kind of got a more aggressive flavor than most of the other blended scotches. And especially when I'm piling all this other flavor on there, I don't want to make a scotch cocktail and you wonder what the base spirit is. So it's not going to be aggressively a scotchy drink because clearly there's all these other things in there. But I don't want you to wonder is that bourbon? No, you're going to know because Johnnie Walker Red is going to let you know on the other side of the mix that you were in fact drinking a scotch cocktail. So, I'm gonna go ahead and shake this up. We're gonna do 2 shakes. The first is for cold and the second one is for that egg white we talked about. Just that easy. And then I'm gonna strain that with my Hawthorne strainer, or just kind of rough strain it. I'm going to get rid of my ice. Egg. Remember, I just want the white. I can wash my hands. And there we go. Now, if you happen to have spare bar tools, you can use the coil from your Hawthorne strainer. Just drop it in there and it'll kind of act naturally as a whisk. If you don't have that, it's not a deal breaker. But if you do, put it in the mixing glass side and then just kind of tilt it all in there. Make sure this is important, that it's sealed. Because if it's not, you're going to be wearing a lot of egg. It's not as glamorous as it sounds. So when you're shaking this, it's not about violence or speed. It's really kind of more about the throw, like how long it is. And you're shaking not for a specific number of times or amount of time. You're shaking to kind of, you can feel it'll get like pillowy or cloudy. And that's key. Now I just pulled this glass out of the freezer, so it's nice and cold, and that is also key. Okay, that's about right. Yeah. Oh yeah, it's gonna be great. Now I'm gonna use a fine mesh strainer just in case I missed a little shell or something. Quick pre-taste. Oh, that's good. And then These are Peychaud bitters. They're the bitters of New Orleans. They're the kind of lipstick red bitters that, as opposed to Angostura, which is mostly like dark baking spices, this has got a little more anise and just kind of brightness on the nose. So we're going to use these. I really like these bitters with scotch drinks. And they have the added advantage of being pretty. Just going to take this guy right here and Ooh. I don't think I want to give this one to you. Okay. Enjoy the fleece blanket.